Are you gonna have other board members joining, do you know?
Um, I believe Donna is gonna come. She's like the liaison for
Okay,
the commission. Yeah.
cool. Then we will also go ahead and wait a minute to make sure she's not like already on as a participant. Nope, she's not. So we can go ahead and wait. Well, since we have other presenters and it looks like we have everyone else that we are expecting from staff, I might actually go ahead and move forward with the agenda, and then if we need to, we can kind of wait if she needs to hop on.
Okay.
Since we have, again, minutes, another presentation before it's your turn. So with that being said, uh, we will go ahead and call the meeting of the Public Relations, Communications, Tourism, Libraries, Boards and Commissions, and Citizen Groups Policy Committee meeting for Wednesday, April 26th to order. My name is Alison Coombs. I am the council member representing Ward 5, and I am the chair of this committee. We also have our vice chair, Councilmember Medina, who is the council member representing Ward 3, and our other member, Councilmember Murillo, who is the council member representing Ward 1. So our first item, actually, let me check because sometimes I get minutes and announcements reversed. So let me scroll down and look at the actual agenda. So yes, approval of minutes is first. Do any members have concerns or changes to the minutes?
I'm good with the minutes.
All right, seeing none, the minutes will stand approved as presented. So next is announcements. Does anyone have any announcements of any upcoming events, activities? Midori?
I'm really excited. Treasure Island opens this weekend at the Fox, so please come and see it. I think it's going to be a great family-friendly show, and I have my tickets for Friday, so hope to see you there.
All right. Awesome. That's super exciting. I didn't realize that was the next upcoming show. I'll definitely have to check that one out. Oh, Councilmember Murillo says she's going to be there. Awesome. Any other announcements? Okay. Um, Seeing none, we will go ahead and move to the next item on the agenda. So that will be our Aurora Public Library post-pandemic staffing presentation from Director of Library and Cultural Services, Midori Clark.
I will go ahead and share my screen. Hopefully everyone can see that. Well, thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to share a little bit about our staffing pre and post pandemic. Just to kick it off, just kind of a quick reminder. I know that we wish we could forget, but a quick reminder of kind of what happened through the pandemic. We did close to the public on Saturday, March 14th of 2020 and started our virtual programming the very next Monday on the 16th. We also, if you might remember, created a very large sewing operation that we called Operation Aurora Mask. And you can see some of the photos there. We used our sewing machines from our sewing lab at Hoffman Library and ended up making over 3,000 masks for our first responders. And then we launched our curbside service in May of that year. We reopened in July 2020 with limited capacity and hours. And you guys might remember, I know I keep trying to forget, but there was quite a sophisticated mathematical equation to determine the amount of people that could be in your building. It was based on kind of the full occupancy and a percentage of that. So we followed those rules per public health and allowed a limited capacity of folks to be in there for 1 hour. And our hours at that point were Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. We took a big step to add Saturdays and lifted the kind of that hourly and other restrictions, the capacity restrictions in July of 2021. And people could come in and be there as long as they wanted and access whatever they wanted. And we just added that Saturday. So an additional 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. day. We really looked at how we wanted to kind of structure our library post-pandemic and hours that we wanted to offer. So we spent quite a bit of time studying public library hours in our region just to make sure that we were going to select hours of business that were similar to other library systems that we bordered. And we really heavily looked at Arapahoe and Denver Public Library hours as we went through this study. Once we had an idea of what we wanted to do with the hours, we took that draft and shared it with the staff groups, our supervisor group to gain some additional input there. And when it was all said and done, we felt like Hoffman, MLK, Iliff, Mission Viejo, and Chambers Plaza were on the right schedule Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And where we really had the big expansion was at Central Library, which basically returned to more similar hours that it had pre-pandemic, but really expanding our Talon's Reach Library hours um, to be open 7 days a week. And now both Central and Talon's have a Monday through Sunday, 7 day a week opening. Monday through Thursday, they open early, 9 a.m. They stay open late till 8 p.m. And then Friday through Sunday, they are both open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So this is just kind of a little overview of our full-time employee count by year and our total budget. So you can see, in 2019, we were just shy of 10 million. We had our FTE count at 88. This is for our whole department, not just broken out by library and cultural services, but I wanted to give you the big picture of kind of how the full department looked. And you can see in 2020, we were um, up for a little bit of a bump in our FTE count just by one, but our total budget took a pretty significant hit that year. And then same with 2021 as we were trying to brace for some of the impacts of COVID. We also had fewer FTE at that point. And then in 2022 and 2023, there's a pretty healthy rebound there. And I just want to point out that's Angie, our supervising librarian at Talon's Reach during our Grinch story time last holiday season. And that was a very popular event. So one of the things that we are really looking at when we think about our staffing and our kind of how we're covering each of the new hourly schedules at our locations is really we're trying to look at how busy are we. So the things that we use to really gauge our busyness are, of course, traffic, which is reflected through library visits. Our checkouts, which are reflected through that circulation statistic. Our program attendance is really just about how many people are attending different library programs that we're putting on. Computer use, which typically tracks very similarly with library visits, as well as library cards. So, we're back kind of to where we were, at least in terms of our budget and staffing, but you can see from these numbers, we're still just a little bit down, like in library visits. So, without as much traffic coming through, like in 2019, pre-pandemic, you could see we have well over 1 million, well over 1.1 million library visits. We're still at about half of that just in our people coming through the doors. So that's one thing I'm looking at really closely in terms of hourly staffing at each of our locations. The one bright spot is circulation. We actually have had a pretty big bump in circulation over the last couple years through the pandemic and post-pandemic. So the biggest reason, though, for that bump, again, is back to our e-circulation, which does not it doesn't need staff intervention to do those checkouts. They're done online with people, just over the internet. So just based on all of that information at this point, we do feel that staffing levels are sufficient to meet our current library use and hours. Um, and we're really, really hoping that our library use overall will be back up to pre-pandemic levels soon. So I think, while we're holding steady for right now, our staffing level for MLK and all of the branches really, I think, will continue to be elevated as we start to get back to those pre-pandemic numbers where we're looking at more than 1 million library visits. And just speaking of MLK Library, I think everyone knows we're very excited. We received $2.5 million in federal funds to renovate the second floor of the MLK Library. That's going to be going on in 2023 and 2024. Obviously, adding that second floor is going to create more need for staff just for security reasons, for programmatic reasons. I think anytime you add another level onto a building, you can't just operate with the same staff that you had in one level. You've got to have some more folks to be upstairs as well. And the other thing that will be really exciting is after that renovation is completed, we plan to have that be our third location with those expanded hours like we have at Central and at Talon's Reach. So that really the idea is we'll have the South region, the Central region, and the North region of the city really covered with those extended hours and being open 7 days a week, which would be new for us. We've never had, so it's really, really exciting to think about our service level at that point. And that is the presentation.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the presentation. I certainly have some questions, but I want to go ahead and open it up to the other members first to see if you all have some questions. Councilmember Medina, do you have any questions?
Just a question on the MLK expansion. What are you proposing to put in that second story?
Well, it's kind of open right now, Councilmember Medina. We have engaged an architectural firm, Studio Trope, to help us really kind of, figure out what will be on that second floor. It's going to be a library. We know that much for sure. We're working through a process of engaging the community and getting some ideas and some feedback. Basically, though, just kind of in a very broad overview. What will happen is the spot that is currently the library, that will really become a children's and family library. We have a lot of families and children in that neighborhood, and probably the biggest amount of feedback we get right now is that sometimes, parents are reluctant to bring their children because with the adults and the families together coexisting in the space right now, they would rather have kind of a secure area where they can just bring their families. So we'll really be able to do that. And then upstairs is basically going to become the adult library. And it could be anything from, you know, music recording studio, 3D printing, maker space, public computing, meeting rooms, conference space, study space, collaborative group project space. So just things kind of along those lines are some of the ideas that have been kicked around.
That sounds great. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Medina. Councilmember Murillo, do you have any questions? Okay, I'm not hearing Councilmember Murillo, so I will go ahead and ask my questions, and then maybe she can, she will be, oh, no question, she says in the chat. So I guess I have some questions. It sounds like we're just up 2 FTEs from the 2019 levels. Are both of those in libraries, or are they also in other departments? And is that as 2 employees or as multiple part-time employees? Like, how is that broken up specifically?
So those 2 positions that were added were for libraries. There were 2 positions that were eliminated, and then those positions were both added back after the pandemic. One was a library assistant at Mission Viejo Library, and then the other was a library assistant position at Central. Both of those positions were vacant at the time when they were eliminated due to the budget cuts. So it was kind of the low hanging fruit at that point, and we were really hoping they were going to be restored, which they were, which is great news.
Excellent. So I guess the other question I have then is about how is the staffing for Chambers Plaza kind of accounted for? So if those were 2 positions that got restored, um, how are we doing the staffing for Chambers Plaza at essentially the same amount of staff?
It's a great question. And, I think that it does really speak to our creativity and trying to figure out how to place all the teams. So I think, you saw that our traffic is down kind of across the board. Our traffic is down. We're still not back to where we were pre-pandemic. And so that did allow us to reallocate some folks to Chambers Plaza and just kind of structure the scheduling a little bit different. We had like one position from Central move over to to Chambers Plaza, and then we had the Hoffman team kind of split their time between Hoffman and Chambers Plaza. Of our 7 locations, Chambers Plaza is right now still the least amount of traffic. And I don't have those, I didn't have those numbers in the presentation. So it's a small footprint, and their minimum staffing levels are different than like at our other branches. So we really only need 3 people at a time to run that location.
Okay, and then with the expanded hours, so kind of before the hours were set such that someone probably could work essentially just a normal 40-hour work week, and that would be their position. Now, it's 11 hours a day for 3 of the days, and then also, or 4 of the days, and then also it's 7 days a week. So you can't really get just one regular 40-hour work week to cover a position
Well, we
at.
do. We do have regular 40-hour work week shifts. And again, kind of how the
And
staffing.
so, sorry, can I just finish
Yes, go
asking?
ahead. Sorry.
So it wouldn't be just that, right? Now you have to also do the staffing to account for the additional days and the additional hours on the day. So I understand, right? The expectation is not that anyone is working over 40 hours, but how, with the same number of FTEs, are you able to set up a schedule that covers those additional hours?
That is another great question. So Central Library post-pandemic hours are actually fewer than Central Library's pre-pandemic hours. So Central Library used to be open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday it had reduced hours like we do now currently. So we're actually we actually shortened the hours at Central Library, which gave us some flexibility to kind of redeploy staff from those hours. And then we just really did a lot of extensive research, almost like hour by hour, day by day, to see really what the times and the days were that required more staff and what the hours and days were that required less staff. And then based on all of that data, we're able to come up with a 40-hour work week that we feel provides excellent customer service and staffing levels to people that are using the library. So it's really just kind of about paying attention to how that traffic flow is moving and then making sure that we have our highest level of staffing during the highest level of traffic time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it does. So then I guess the other question is, and it sounds like in some of these libraries, it is kind of a bare bones staffing level. So there are legal
It can
requirements with
be, for
respect
sure.
to,
Yes.
yeah. So there are legal requirements with respect to, for example, breaks. Are there always enough employees available such that people can take their legally mandated like lunch breaks, 15-minute breaks, things like that over the course of their shifts?
From what I understand, absolutely. Yes.
Okay. And then the other question I have is around security. So how is security worked into these FTE numbers? I specifically have heard some concerns about drug use in our libraries, and just general kind of security and public safety concerns. I'm sure we've all heard concerns about MLK, and certainly I've also heard concerns about Central. So how many of the FTEs are security? What is the security coverage like at those branches where it's needed?
So 100% safety for our staff and the public is always at the top of our list. There's just no question. And, the good news is we have fewer incidents now than we were having kind of at the I don't want to say the height of the pandemic, but during the pandemic, it was a very difficult time in many, many ways. And, you know, the safety was a big issue. I feel like um, now things have calmed down. Our incidents are fewer. We handle security differently at each of the locations, just kind of based on what we're seeing. We have a library clerk position at our library that includes a focus on security, and that's how we handle kind of our in-house security piece. Their jobs really first and foremost are to provide library service. So they're a library staff member, just like, any other library staff member. They help customers check things out. They help with printing issues. They help with reader advisory and some other things like that. But they have an additional focus on security. So that team, we have one full-time person at Hoffman, one full-time person at Chambers Plaza. We have one, two, three, four of those security clerk positions at Central. And we also have one more full-time security clerk at MLK. So that makes up the in-house security team. Then additionally, we under the city's security contract, we have a security guard that is at MLK.
Okay, thank you for that as well. Are there any other questions or points of discussion from the other members of the committee? Okay, seeing none. Um, I do want maybe a little more information. Perhaps this can be via email, kind of breaking this out across the different locations, and kind of how specifically those are being staffed. Um, Frankly, I have heard some concerns from folks about both safety and security, as well as the sufficiency of staffing to enable things like breaks and sick time. So that's the other thing, right? If someone does get sick, does the remaining staffing actually manage to keep up? Or are we in a situation where if someone gets sick, they really feel like they couldn't possibly take the time off work? And then we've got folks coming to work sick, which I think we're all especially more cognizant of since COVID. So those I think are the big concerns that I have in areas that I want to kind of see more information to make sure that we really are providing adequate staffing, not just to cover kind of in a technical sense the total number of visits and checkouts, but also that we're providing a staffing situation that is not precarious for our employees. And if we're not doing that well, then I think like we as council do have to have a conversation about how that fits in our priorities rather than just saying, well, we're only going to pay for certain things and we're not going to talk about or prioritize and look at other things. And I think, it's well known that I am concerned that the library often doesn't get attended to in those conversations about whether or not we have adequate budget. And there's just kind of an assumption that we're not going to give any additional support. So folks just have to deal with what they've got. So I just want to make sure that we are being really thoughtful about that big picture, as well as looking forward to continued increased circulation and visits to our libraries, and not overtaxing our employees in that area. So I really appreciate you sharing this information, and I look forward to kind of continuing to talk about that as we approach the upcoming budget cycle.
Thank you. Very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So with that being said, that item is complete, and now we have the Aurora Youth Commission annual report with Joe Sack, Donna Hunt, and Avik Srivastava.
All right, so I'll begin sharing my screen. Okay, can everyone see my screen fine?
Yes, we can.
All right, perfect. All right, so good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me here today. My name is Avik Srivastava. I'm the chair of the Aurora Youth Commission. A little bit about myself real quick. I'm a senior at Grandview High School this year, and I don't know, my favorite subject currently is physics. I'm pretty bad at it, but it's still pretty interesting. And this is my 4th year on the commission. So here, our mission and purpose, everything is centered around just representing the voice of the youth of Aurora, whether that be advising city council, the city manager, or the Department of Parks and Recreation. And then our purpose is to advise the city on matters pertaining to the youth, advocating for youth issues to the city council, and also developing responses to the youth concerns that we see. Some of our goals this year were to continue a full member commission. Also, we wanted to just get more engaged with our community and volunteer. And then also to hear and understand more youth issues in Aurora. And I'll get into depth with each of these right here. So for our membership, currently we have 7 youth members from the ages of 15 to 21. And 6 members are 21 and older. So we can definitely see that we are lacking in the youth members. We definitely want to increase that membership. Our liaisons are Cameron Ackley and Donna Hunt. So vacancies this year, once again, we have 11 youth vacancies, and this year we attempted to increase that membership. And that's definitely one of our goals, one of our larger goals. Some of the schools that are represented include Grandview High School, Cherokee Trail, Vista Peak, and Smoky Hill. So we meet on the first Thursday of each month, from August to May, or in correspondence with the public school calendar. We meet from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m., either virtually through WebEx or in person at Central Rec Center. So it's sort of a hybrid model. So for the class of 2023, we have 4 seniors this year in the Aurora Youth Commission. Abby, she'll be attending Boulder. I'm not too sure what their majors were, but I think some of them were still deciding. Snigda, she'll be attending Berkeley. Anvit will be attending the University of San Diego. And I'll be majoring in finance next year at the Kelley School of Business at Indiana University. So the new ideas that we had this year, so we created these semester goals. This way we could like specifically focus on one task one semester and then continue from there with the other goal, focusing specifically on that the next. So we chose to focus on recruitment and volunteering. And then we wanted to get a partnership with the We Are Aurora Youth at Aurora Recreation Centers. We wanted just to have more youth representation there. And then we also wanted to partner with the Aurora Commission for Older Adults for volunteering events and sort of to bridge the gap between the youth and older adults. So for in-person volunteering for the Aurora Center for Active Adults, we had a couple events, one of them being a play called Hotel Colorado, and some of our members went there to seat the guests and help out with that play. There was also a spring fling activity where there was a dance. And then last Saturday, actually, at the Central Rec Center, we had the adaptive triathlon. And here we see Donna, Cameron, and Alex. They attended this. It was hosted by Arise, which stands for the Adaptive Recreation and Inclusion Services for Everyone. And they participated in activities like walking, swimming, and biking. And they had a really good time with that. So that was a great volunteering experience for them. And then we're also doing an AYC scholarship. We've done this ever since I was a freshman and before that, I believe also. So we offer a scholarship to the graduating seniors from the AYC. And then there was an application process for that to provide a few students with funding to continue their higher educations, as all of us will be going to college next year. And I believe we'll be giving that scholarship out in the May meeting. And then this January, we attended the Youth Celebrate Diversity Conference. This was hosted at Cherry Creek High School, and they have a ton of different workshops. Donna and I attended that. There's very diverse topics, ranging from hip hop and justice to ethics, and it was really fun to attend that. So speakers, this is a key part of our meetings. We had council member Juan Marcano. He spoke on youth voice and concerns in Aurora, and we were really grateful for him to come in. We asked him lots of questions on questions regarding the concerns that we had. And then we had Chad Angel. He talked about the different volunteering programs in Aurora. And then Kevin Duncan, he's one of the adult members in the AYC. He gave a presentation on financial literacy, retirement, and budgeting. And then last March, we had Marcus Gray, and he spoke about cryptocurrency and NFTs. And yeah, all of these are very interesting, and we love when speakers come in. So for team building, we did quite a bit this year. So we did a book club throughout the whole year. We read a book called Atomic Habits. I'll get more into depth with this book later in the presentation. And then we did an escape room last December. We went to Rec Room and we competed in this like hard mode. It was like the hardest difficulty called Area 51, and we did complete it, so that was really fun. And then we did some Jeopardy. We do a lot of team building at the beginning of our meetings, whether it be Jeopardy or Kahoot, and yeah, so those are always fun. So for Atomic Habits, Abby, here's like a quick thing that she got out of it. So while reading Atomic Habits, I experienced some difficult things in my personal life. The habits that I intended to change became harder to do due to these things. However, this novel assured me that growth, even small amounts of it, should be celebrated. Hence, the novel encouraged me to continue growing, even if it takes a longer time than planned. Um, and I feel like this encapsulates how a lot of, or how most members felt about the book. We really like gained lots of insights just about how to approach our daily lives and how to develop like better habits in our lives. And we would always have book discussions every meeting about a specific few chapters that we would read, and it was really fun and insightful. So for next year, 2023 to 2024, our requests. So we really liked Councilor Member Juan Marcano coming in. Once again, City Council members, they're always invited to AYC meetings to speak. We meet the first Thursday of every month once again. And then once again, we want to have the City Council's continued support in addressing issues pertaining to the youth. I think this is something that we really want to focus on next year. I wanted to hit it more this year, but not as much as I wanted to. So I think that's definitely something. And then for goals, I think increasing membership, that's going to be a huge thing for next year as we have 4 graduating seniors. We also want to engage with the community through service projects and then to advocate for youth issues to the Aurora City government. And thank you so much for your time. Do you have any questions?
All right, thank you so much, Advic, for your presentation. I'll go ahead and open it first to the other members for questions. Councilmember Medina?
Yes, thank you. I have a few. Couple things. Yeah, I'd be more than happy to attend one of your meetings. Also, if there's opportunity for me to be a liaison or part of that, I would enjoy that as well. I can connect you to some youth that I have, a nonprofit that I've been working with in Aurora Central called Change Agents, and they're working on projects in their community. So there be some potential opportunities for people to become members there from Central, and then I can certainly connect you to Rangeview as well. Let's see. Yeah, I'd like to see the youth commission be, I guess, more robust, and then maybe have a conversation offline about maybe the structure of it, because I certainly want youth's voice to be there, because I don't feel as council that your voice is really listened to in a sense, and so I want to make sure that that is heard. And so I'd like to see about maybe looking at the structure, and then also looking at budget, if maybe allowing you guys to have $25,000-$50,000 for you guys to give out as far as grants to community things that you feel, programs that you feel that were working in your community, so that you guys can give those out as youth. I think those are some ways to get more people involved, and also be that voice, right? And actually us as adults listening to that and respecting that, in the sense of allowing you to dole out some money to programs that you feel are working in the communities that you are in. So that's what I have. So thank you.
All right, thanks so much. Those are really good ideas. Appreciate that.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Medina. Councilmember Murillo? I know you are losing your voice, but maybe if you want to put stuff in the chat, and then I will ask a question while we're waiting on that. So my question, I guess, is what are some ways that we can help you guys kind of advocate on the issues that we discuss more? Like, we have $1.5 million annually that are budgeted for youth violence prevention. And I think we've had a lot of conversations as adults about that money and what we're doing with that money, and a lot of, honestly, back and forth and contentiousness that's kept that money from being utilized to address youth violence issues. So what kind of ways do you think, or maybe this is more a conversation to bring back to the commission, like what things do you all think would actually help address the youth violence issues in the city? So I don't know if you have thoughts now or if you want to bring that back.
Yeah, I can talk about that for a little. So youth violence, so we've talked about this in the commission before, and I think a huge part of it is that lots of us don't really see that perspective. Lots of us are located in the Cherry Creek School District, and I know it's a huge problem in like APS, and we don't really have a lot of representation there. I was also like interviewed about youth violence by like Fox News and a couple other medias, but I think it just leads like the root cause is that a lot of us haven't experienced that, so we don't have perspective to speak about that. But we would certainly like to discuss it.
Okay, that's helpful to know. So do you think like having more representation from APS and more parts of the city would help you guys to advocate on that issue more?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, that makes sense. And then I had a follow-up that I don't think will fit as a result of your answer, but I guess my other question is, are there other issues that you guys feel like you could advocate with the city, like problems that you see that you want us to do more about and that you're not really seeing council address?
Yeah, I'd say one problem we discussed about, it was more pertaining to our schools, regarding representation. So, like we see a lot of these things like Black History Month being celebrated and like Ramadan being celebrated, and these are all once again like wonderful things. But when these things are celebrated, then people who are representing their specific heritages, it's very diverse. They don't see their specific ethnicity or culture represented. For example, like I have lots of friends at my school who are Indian, and we don't see a lot of representation from our culture. Like we might see it for, the larger majorities, but I'd say like for the ethnic minorities, they might be like, oh, where's just my representation? And even just like wishing like some sort of holiday that can like just brighten the student's day. That's something we talked about though.
Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. And I wonder too if we as a city can do more to recognize a broader range of holidays as well. Like we have Global Fest, but that's one time per year. So I wonder if there's a way that we could also kind of do more to increase that sense of inclusion for more people in our community. So it's not only the schools. And I would be really interested in having a conversation about what that could look like, how we could make sure that we're kind of engaging more with more cultures in the city. So thank you for that. And Councilmember Murillo says nothing from her. So is there anything else that you want to share with us, or that any of the other folks involved in the commission want to share with council as far as things that we can be doing to support or ideas that you may have about kind of council's involvement with the youth commission?
I'm Donna Hunt. I think that having some council members out to our meetings was one of the most impactful meetings that we had this year. Gave our youth a voice, and they felt some real movement. They talked about that the whole entire year, so that was very important. I like the idea of having some grant money to put towards things that our youth are seeing out there and stuff when it's their voice being heard. I think that's huge. That's very important. So I do like that a lot, and I like to see that go forward. I just want to thank my youth commission. I think they're one of my favorite parts of my job and stuff. They just bring the joy and inform us of what's going on in our community and kind of keep us in reality and keep us in touch. And I think that, giving us a big voice, and this is just a start, like Advocate was saying, we're starting, we're getting a good commission, very strong commission going. And we want to branch out, we want to do more and stuff. So you'll see us in the community a lot more.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. And then Joe or Brooke, I know you guys have had some engagement. Do either of you have anything to add? Yeah, Brooke.
I just have to find the right buttons. My apologies. I will say that Donna and Joe and staff have explained to me that they have been out to a lot of these schools and been trying to recruit new, and so have the students or the youth commissioners, recruit more for the vacant positions, the 11 vacant positions. And I think we just haven't found the right, I guess, recipe. And I think that's where we'll need to, you know, I'm not going to say refocus our efforts, but look at maybe some more creative approaches. We've talked to, I understand from Donna and Joe, we've talked to leaderships in the school, we've talked to the administration, that would be the school leadership, try to make connections with teachers. It's just a challenge, and we just haven't quite broke that through that barrier recently. And I know that that's something that the youth commissioners are also concerned about as well. So I do believe that's an area where we need to maybe refocus and see if we can get find some other creative ideas on how to accomplish that.
Yeah, I wonder too if we as council, like, you know, we have relationships with parents of high school students, so maybe talking to the parents that we know of kids at some of the other schools and seeing if they, you know, if they want to talk to their kids. I don't know, Advic, were your parents involved at all in encouraging you to join this commission to begin with, or how did you find out about it?
Actually, my brother, he participated in the commission, and then I joined from there.
Okay, so that's, I think I did remember that actually. So maybe in your case, that's a little bit unique, but I wonder if the encouragement and the support from parents might help with that. Joe, do you have anything to add?
No, I just think it's a great opportunity for us just to acknowledge the youth commission. They do a lot of hard work. These students, one of the reasons why I feel that we don't have more students on board, we're competing for their time, and these children at this age are very, very busy, and they have a lot of things that they want to be involved with, and we're just one of the other things that we're competing with. So those that do volunteer and are part of this commission, we just like to thank them for their time and the education they bring to us, and it's been very rewarding. With anyone with council, anytime that you would like to schedule a to meet with the commission, just let me or Donna know, and we will get you scheduled on the agenda that works for your calendar, and we'll have that opportunity. And as well, if you would like to make a request of the commission to report on a certain issue, we can also bring that forward to a policy committee or a study session or something like that. If you'd like to hear the voice directly on an issue, just let us know and we'll get the commission to work on that idea, and we can also then bring it forward.
Great, thank you, Joe. Thank you for helping kind of lay that out as far as how we can make those connections better. Donna?
So as Advic and Brooke touched on, our recruiting is like one of our big keys that we're really working on. And we kind of talked a little bit about this as a group, a commission and stuff. And so if you guys have any ideas, let us know. But the commission decided to do something like a bring a buddy. So each one of them will bring a buddy starting next year and stuff, just to kind of give them that experience. So hopefully we could bring somebody into being a commissioner, at least being a member. And then a leadership group outing. So we go to the schools, to their leadership, and we see what they're doing. And then we kind of talk to them and stuff, because it doesn't seem like they're coming to us. So if you guys have other ideas, we're going to Hinckley on Friday for their parent teacher conference and stuff. So we'll set up there as well and do some promotions and stuff. So we've been going out to all the APS schools and stuff to try to get some more commissioners from APS. So yeah, we're always open to suggestions and help to recruit.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And then just as a reminder, you guys meet September through May, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So, all right. Well, thank you all so much. I appreciate your time and you guys sharing that information, and I definitely hope we can be of help as a council with respect to recruiting, as well as, you know, just helping you guys engage in addressing the issues that are important to you through council. So thanks again. And so with that, we will move on with the agenda. Are there any miscellaneous matters for consideration? Okay, seeing none, we will go to our next meeting, which is scheduled for May 24th, 2023, at 3:30 p.m. Does anybody have any conflicts with that time? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and keep the meeting at that time. And I really appreciate everyone making the time to be here, sharing with us, and look forward to continuing to work with you all and seeing you next time. Have a great rest of your week.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.